Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Discover What is in Store for the Modern Workplace, Enable a Modern Workplace with Digital Document Management. My name is Christy and I'm going to be your moderator today. Just a couple of quick announcements before we get started. Q&A has been enabled for today's session. As we go throughout today's presentation, if you have any questions or comments, please use the Q&A icon. We do have Ricoh staff available to answer these throughout, and we're going to save some time at the end to answer some of these questions live. Today's presentation is being recorded. This link will be shared shortly. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Raleigh, to get us started.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today, Discover What's in Store for the Modern Workplace, Enable a Modern Workplace with Digital Document Management. On the next slide, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm John Stewart. I'm the Vice President of IT Services, Sales and Strategy for Ricoh USA. And I want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time to discover a little bit more about what's happening with the modern workplace and hybrid work. On the next slide, I'd like to introduce our presenter for the day, Jamie Bsales. Jamie is an award-winning technology journalist who has been covering the high-tech industry for more than 25 years, with 15 of those years being at Keypoint Intelligence. In his role as Director for Office Workflow Solutions Analysis, Jamie is responsible for Keypoint's coverage of document, imaging, and business workflow software and related services. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Jamie. And again, thank you all for attending today.
Thank you so much, John. Yes, so today we're going to talk about digital transformation, which we abbreviate as DX. You'll see that throughout the presentation. And really want to touch on some of the opportunities for SMBs, pain points, benefits, and we'll also leave you with some best practices, some things to look for in some top-notch DX products. So, you know, no surprise, the pandemic really has changed everything. So we also in this presentation really want to hit on some of the things that have changed in digital transformation initiatives because of the pandemic. First and foremost, I want to drive home the point that if you are still using manual, outdated processes, they're really costing you in several areas. First off, they're costing you in time. Work processes that are not digitized or automated take an average of 3 times as long to complete, according to our research, as those that are already digitized. So that costs you money. That that adds up to higher labor costs. It's also could be costing you invaluable key personnel. Lack of personal satisfaction is a key reason employees leave a job, and tedious work is the fastest way to drive them out the door. It's also a huge drain on your internal resources. Your IT department, if processes are manual, get dragged into more issues, and also your departmental managers really have a lot more on their plates to keep track of if there is no automated system in place. Now, one thing I also want to make sure we do is to level set our terms, because there can be confusion around what is true DX versus simple digitization. So here at the top, we have our short definition that we use for digital transformation. It's essentially the integration of digital technology into business processes to supplant paper-based manual workflows with codified and often automated digitized equivalents. So some things that are the first steps are on the road to digital transformation, but are really just simple digitization. Scanning paper documents to a PDF or other electronic format. While that's great and it's much better than having file cabinets full of paper documents, that's digitization. That's not full DX. storing a document in a shared electronic repository with a simple folder tree structure, such as Dropbox. Again, while that's welcome for many users, it is not true DX. And certainly sharing documents via email threads, that does not a workflow make. True digital transformation are things like storage, search, sharing, collaboration of electronic data and documents through something such as a content and information management package. Automated electronic document workflows, also known as business process automation. And often these products will also have artificial intelligence infused systems that can learn as users use the system, and in turn can take over some of those processes from the humans.
Hey, Jamie, I was wondering, a lot of organizations are very comfortable with doing what they do today. And in many cases, don't really know what's out there around digital transformation. What would you tell an organization about why they want to do this? Like, what's in it for them? How's it going to benefit them?
Right, John. Our research is definitely showing that there are real world benefits. So we do surveys with end users and IT decision makers all the time throughout the year. And so one of the surveys we did with IT decision makers was asking them, what are the primary benefits your organization has seen thanks to the efforts to digitize data and document workflows? The respondents were allowed to multi-select the answers, and hence that's why these numbers add up to more than 100%. But the number one answer was increased efficiency for their workers. Better data integrity was the second most common response given. And that's because an automated process that can ingest, say, invoices or forms electronically and automatically process them, it's a lot more accurate than rekeying those documents into an ERP or QuickBooks or other system. So hence it reduces errors. Another big benefit is the time savings that they see for their organization. And that last box there, I really want to drive home. Only 2% of respondents indicated that they saw no real benefits from their digital transformation initiatives. So there really is a true ROI that real world users are seeing.
Jamie, another quick question. A lot of digital transformation tools talk about the ability to, scan, index, and make all of the documents and information searchable. Is that something that you kind of tie into increased efficiency, or is that something extra that you think is very beneficial as part of this process?
Right. Yeah. No, that is definitely a core at the for any digital transformation initiative and product has to be the ability to ingest documents, be they on paper originally and scanned and then intelligently processed and parsed, or if they do come in as a static PDF on an email, and you can detach that into the workflow system, and the platform will intelligently recognize the information that is on those pages and then deliver them to where they need to go.
Awesome, thank you.
Good. And certainly one of the things we're also seeing is that there are challenges. While there are the benefits in the real world, we can't gloss over the fact that there are challenges, especially in the post-pandemic landscape around remote and hybrid workers and limited IT resources, which have really become stretched thin in the post-pandemic world. And as we all know, hybrid work is here to stay, at least for a while. So our study with end users, we asked knowledge workers, and we define knowledge workers as those who spend most of their time on a PC to do their work. So this eliminates folks like on a manufacturing line or something like that. So 60% of the knowledge workers reported to us that they're either hybrid or fully remote. And then of those that are either hybrid or fully remote, the average time at home was 2.7 days. So that's essentially half the time that they are remote, which really throws a monkey wrench into traditional business processes, manual business processes, which sort of presuppose that everybody's in the same office and you can walk documents around and talk to people. In today's world, that isn't always the case. And another thing we found with our pre and post-pandemic research is that digital transformation really moved from a nice to have to a need to have in the span of a year. So in late 2019, we asked our IT decision maker in our IT decision maker survey, what are your top IT challenges and business priorities for the coming year? In late 2019, 33% reported that shifting from paper processes to electronic was a top business priority. Well, what a difference a pandemic makes. When we asked essentially the same question in late 2020, we asked overall, has the COVID-19 pandemic led your company to accelerate the move toward digitization? 80% of respondents answered yes to that.
That's a great point, Jamie. I think, even at Ricoh, we've seen a lot of our customers making more investments in scanning in a lot of their legacy documents and making sure they're available to be accessed, from anywhere at any time securely. And, it's a good point that, COVID has really increased this percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So our poll question for today: what job-related challenges do you find cost the most time while working from home? Select all that apply. Data security, converting from paper to digital processes, file and document editing, connecting to business applications, access to work files and materials, collaborate with colleagues, supporting customers, printing, copying, and scanning. So I'll give the audience a few seconds to answer the poll questions and see what we get. Got a lot coming in right now. Interesting to see that a lot of the top priorities are the same priorities that we would expect, Jamie.
Right. And thanks, John. Yeah. So we asked that, that same question in our research. And here were our results. Data security was the top challenge that users identified, followed by file and document editing, and then very closely after that, collaboration with colleagues. And then access to work files, something as simple as access to work files. More than a third of respondents were having issues with, with the advent of remote and hybrid working. The good news is that a well-crafted DX initiative can address all of these challenges. One of the other issues we've seen in the post-pandemic landscape, and this was actually becoming an issue before the pandemic and then really came to the fore, is stretched IT resources. There just aren't enough high-level IT resources who can really attack the kind of DX initiatives and DX platforms that that we're seeing out there. So one of the ways around it, one of the ways you can alleviate that is to go with cloud software versus an on-premise solution that's loaded on your server in your server closet. First and foremost, a cloud solution is perfect for remote and hybrid workforce. The users will have access in and out of the office from just about any device. Everybody, no matter where they are, is accessing the same system and the same files. They're always up to date. It's not, I have the newest file on my laptop and it's at home. If they are, using the system correctly and working in the cloud system, all of the data and documents will be live for anybody from no matter where they need to access it. The benefit also, especially for SMBs, is reduced upfront cost. Before, as let's say a high-end content management package would really lock out the smaller businesses because it would be many thousands and even sometimes many tens of thousands of dollars to get up and running at the beginning. So it would be a huge upfront capital expenditure that they'd have to save and budget for. Well, cloud solutions, they're all really, pay as you go. So it's just a matter of signing on the dotted line. Yes, there may be some professional services fees up front to get you up and running. But once you are up and running, it's just a monthly fee that you can budget for, and it's a predictable expense, which really, really appeals to SMBs. The benefit is also that it lessens the burden on IT personnel. If you're going to have an on-premise system, it means a server to provision and maintain, software updates to roll out, and that costs time and money. And also a lot of smaller businesses don't have that kind of IT bandwidth. Another benefit, the applications, the cloud applications, they're always up to date. Users always access the latest and greatest software. The software provider will do updates in the background. And so whenever a user logs on, they're always in the latest version of the software rather than a version old. There's also advantages with scalability and availability. Organizations can add users easily. They can scale back users if they have to easily. And the typical uptime promise from the major cloud hosting providers is 99.9, and there's a few more numbers after that, percent uptime. And I would hazard to guess that that is probably better uptime than you are going to see from that server in your server room. And the numbers bear it out. So our research has, we've been following the content management market for years. Our research had showed that a typical time to recoup your investment for an on-premise content management package was 18 to 24 months, which we thought was great. Well, a typical time to ROI for a cloud solution is 3 to 6 months, which is amazing.
Jamie, I would imagine that security is a big part of consideration by a lot of organizations in terms of making sure that the information that's sitting out there is secure and everything like that. And we have a lot of our customers that are obviously very concerned about cybersecurity. Do you find the same thing that you're seeing in your research? And is there anything that you can point to that gives people that comfort level that they're looking for?
Sure, right. And John, just like you said, in our research, whenever we ask an IT decision maker, what is your top concern? Cybersecurity is always number one. It has been for years. And it's only gotten more so during and in the wake of the pandemic. The good news, especially with cloud solutions, is they are more secure typically than what you will find in an on-premise solution. That didn't always be the case when cloud first came. A lot of companies were hesitant to put their data and documents and customer data up in the cloud outside of their firewall. They were afraid of who can access it, and there were legitimate concerns back then when cloud first came onto the scene. But that has really switched. Right now, you are much more likely to have a breach of your own private server than you are to have a breach of an application or files stored with one of the major cloud hosting companies.
Thanks, Jamie. And I know the cloud provides many benefits, but I feel like with digital transformation and workflow solutions, a lot of the decisions are made by departments and things like that. It looks like you're ready to talk about that, but I just wanted to ask you about how does IT and other departments kind of work together in the decision-making process?
Right, sure, and that's a good point. There definitely has to be a collaboration. It can't just start from the IT department deciding we are going to digitize this particular process or this particular area. You really have to get buy-in from the stakeholders. You know, the department managers. First of all, ask them, you know, what are your key pain points? What are the areas your users spend the most time on? And then, you know, the end users themselves, because at the end of the day, if the end users don't buy into the system, you just spent money and resources, and they're just going to go ahead, you know, behind the IT's back and do it the way they want to do it anyway. So thanks, and that's a good transition. Actually, we'll talk about some real concrete examples here of areas that are ripe for digital transformation, and that should be, you know, certainly tops on the list for people to consider. So the four, you know, and there are many areas that can be addressed with a digital transformation initiative. You know, we've picked the top four that we'll address here. Accounts payable, because slow AP process, you know, really cost you money. Document capture, workflow, and collaboration. You know, so digitizing any of those paper documents and bringing everything into a coherent workflow. HR onboarding, which can just be a mess of forms and different types of documents, you know, that, you know, hopefully end up in a file folder. Well, there's much better way to do it. And then an interesting area that we'll touch on last that gets overlooked a lot, and actually came to the fore during the pandemic, is snail mail conversion. You know, you can't control what comes into your organization and what people send you on paper, but there is still, you know, you can take control and digitize it. So let's go ahead and jump into accounts payable first. And in our research, we found that accounts payable is the top area for digital transformation. You know, the pain points that we've seen, it's a multi-step process, it's slow, it's tedious. As I mentioned earlier, the data entry errors, if you're manually rekeying invoice information into a back-end system, that costs time and money, and introduces errors into your accounting system and all down the line. You know, paper invoices then need to be filed, and then they become hard to find if you need to, you know, if there is some sort of discrepancy later on, and just lack of visibility into what, you know, where money is and what invoices are coming in and have come in, and the high cost, the extra labor time, you miss out on early payment discounts and deadlines, and if you know, delayed payments can cost you in the form of penalties. So that box to the right there, actually, we did some calculus based on the typical salaries of folks in the AP department and the time it takes to do the process manually, and we found that processing of invoice manually costs anywhere from $16 to $35 per invoice, which is significant. Hybrid work introduced even more challenges. The paper invoices sit at the office while workers are remote. Any approval processes is slowed down because people, you know, aren't in the office at the same time. So a digital process, you know, really takes care of all of that. Lets you integrate things into a single platform that can automate the capture, processing, and routing. It centralizes all the information. You can implement an automated approval process that reduces waiting time. So the invoice travels around digitally for approval. And importantly, you ensure the security of all the information because the system, access to the system can be limited only to certain individuals. And here we have some of the key features that we feel an effective accounts payable system should have. You know, first and foremost, it needs accurate capture to automatically transfer key invoice information, such as the invoice number, the company name, the invoice amount, into the backend system. Intelligent recognition of captured data to properly classify and process the information. It needs to have an approval workflow engine that can automatically route invoices according to rules set by the organization. For example, invoices under $10,000 can be approved by the department head, but if it's an invoice over a set amount, that invoice has to be routed to the CFO for approval. And the system, if set up correctly, will be able to do that automatically. Another important thing, the ability for the system to automatically recognize and flag bottlenecks in the system. So, invoices that are, waiting for somebody, maybe they're out unexpectedly. And so alert a department manager of the holdup, so that way that task can be reassigned to somebody who is available. On the back end, it needs to have a flexible search system, so digitized invoices can be found quickly. And it needs to have integration with popular systems that you're already using, such as Outlook, QuickBooks, and Salesforce.com. The next area that we feel is key for digital transformation is document and content management systems. They are essential for any company that works with a lot of documents, a lot of forms, and a lot of free form documents. So some of the pain points we've identified over the years is that critical business information winds up locked in paper documents or even electronic, file folders, but it's not being used. It gets forgotten, and it's important information that could be used by other folks, but it's in a silo. And collaboration, it consists of essentially emailing documents around, which is just, a recipe for there to be different versions of documents. Two people are working on the same document on their own PC at the same time. Well, now there's two different versions. Those have to be reconciled, which is time consuming. A lack of visibility into document status. If you don't know who has a document and where it is, and you're waiting for it, you have no idea if you should be working on a new version or if you're waiting for the other person. And of course, it's difficult to find the desired information quickly. And of course, hybrid brought in its own challenges. So it's difficult, if you are working with, physical documents still, it's hard to share those with remote colleagues. You have to scan them, you have to take a picture of them on your phone and send it. It's just a mess. The potential to misplace files, people are, I'm going to be working home for the next 2 days, and they walk out the door with the files, with the documents, and it's the only copies of them. That's a recipe for disaster. That is also security concerns. If those documents contain sensitive data and they're going home with people, a lot of industries that is actually not allowed, and you will be out of compliance with regulations if that happens. And of course, if physical signatures are required, paper processes are just difficult to manage and track. So the benefits of digital transformation, the ability, improved organization of files and easy access to information, department and company-wide, the ability to collaborate on electronic documents all at the same time, automatic version control that say, that first of all warns you if somebody else has a document open, and it will also save every iteration of a document, so that way you can roll back to an earlier copy of the document if you have to, and of course improve data and document security. So here I've outlined some of the key features of an effective content management system. So again, these are features that you want to look for. And even if you're not going to use all of these features up front, initially, if you're just getting started, it's actually good to ask your provider if these features are part of the platform. Because you don't want to get into a situation where you start with a particular product and then outgrow it and then have to migrate to a different product, and then the end users have to learn a whole new system. So, here we have some of the top features that you'll find in a top-notch content management package. The ability to easily incorporate electronic and paper documents into the system, intelligent recognition of that captured information, flexible filing options, so that way you don't have to reinvent the way people are used to working, that the file structure system should be able to be tailored to match what you already have in place if that's your desire. An advanced search system. As I mentioned, the collaboration and versioning features are very important. The ability to create logic-based custom workflows. So let's say a workflow for an expense report. To get rid of the, you create something and have to send it via email. The system should be intelligent enough to have a workflow builder engine that you can create custom workflows. First and foremost, I should have put this at top, robust document security features. That's one of the main reasons you're signing on for a content management package. Most of the advanced packages today do have a cloud-based version available, and we highly recommend that. And look into that if that fits your needs. Document archival, retention, and destruction rules. Some industries are required to destroy customer files after a set amount of time when the person is no longer a customer. So an advanced system will actually allow the IT department to set up those rules, and then the system keeps track of it in the back end. When a document is 2 years old, it automatically gets shredded. Another important feature is e-forms creation and management. If your business works a lot with forms, such as a doctor's office, or if your HR department, is very forms heavy, you can recreate those forms electronically and allow users to fill in the forms electronically instead of getting paper forms. And of course, electronic signature support, which was a real lifesaver during the pandemic for any businesses that needed a wet signature. Systems such as DocuSign are actually recognized as a legal signature. So it really stops if you email a file, they print it out, they sign it, they scan it, they send it back, you have to store it. E-signature support will really eliminate all of that. And I had just mentioned HR onboarding, and some of the more advanced content management systems will actually have specific HR onboarding modules where everything that an HR department will need is already there. And pre-built. It just takes a little bit of tweaking and customization to get it up and running for your business. Obviously, some of the pain points: new hire onboarding. It's all forms, it's all documents, they're all different types. And the process involves multiple departments and personnel. It's the hiring manager, it's HR, it's finance. IT has to be brought in to provision the person, their laptop and their passwords and things like that. The risk for error from manual data entry as you take their information and then enter it into, say, a payroll system or something like that manually. There's a big opportunity for errors to be introduced, which then need to be discovered and then undone. And that information needs to be fed to multiple back-end external systems, again, like a payroll system. And hybrid just complicated things with trying to collect and track paperwork and obtaining the approvals and signatures, and then the secure exchange of private information is an issue, and ensuring the adherence to compliance and policy guidelines if you are emailing things back and forth. So the benefits of a digital transformation platform that handles HR onboarding: you have the workflow automation, there will be advanced dependencies and automatic reminders, secure handling of the people's information, just reduced manual processes, which saves time and money, as we've said, and it really frees up the HR and IT resources for other projects and activities. So here again, I just have some bullets of an effective HR onboarding solution. Some of them are the same as the content management: easily incorporate paper and electronic documents, the ability to track and manage employee records, so that way the HR department can just go into one repository and see what's there and know what's missing, advanced search, Streamlined document distribution. These systems also let you store your employee handbooks and other things in the system and then send them out automatically when there's an update to the document or when there's a new hire. The ability to create, logic-based custom workflows is also very important. So for instance, the system will watch if you are waiting for certain key documents from a potential hire and they haven't submitted everything. Well, instead of the HR department having to look down the list and say, oh, and then, this document is missing, and send out an email to John Doe asking them for that document, the system will recognize it automatically and send reminders without human intervention. Again, the document security features are a must. E-forms creation, especially important in HR, along with the integration with the external systems that I mentioned. And then the last area that I want to touch on today is snail mail, is paper mail. Really wasn't given much thought by most companies. I mean, maybe larger enterprises had digitized their mailrooms, but for most companies, smaller and mid-sized businesses, the mail comes in, somebody walks it around to the people who it's addressed to, or the department that's supposed to get it, and it's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal until suddenly nobody's in the office. And then companies had to scramble, who is going to be responsible for getting the mail to the right people? Well, there's privacy issues. You can't just have anybody coming into the office and opening everybody's mail and deciding, is this important, is this not important? Because if it's something private and sensitive, that person might not be allowed to see it. So what was happening is the mail would come in, somebody would have to go in even though the office was closed, and then they would FedEx the mail, unopened mail, to the people at home. It was just, wildly inefficient. So there are systems that will allow you to automate your mailroom. Basically, it converts the physical mail to digital content for routing, processing, and storing. It gives you quicker delivery of important documents. It's not sitting on somebody's desk for 2 days while they're working at home on Monday and Friday, Friday and Monday, I should say, while important documents sit. It also gives you centralized document management to improve the searchability and compliance. Increase security. You can ensure the delivery of the mail to the intended recipient, and it's just an improved, user experience, for your clients and customers, that their mail, that the invoices or letters or whatever they're sending aren't sitting. They're getting digitized and paid attention to immediately, and also it's an improved experience for your employees. Another important aspect is that it gives you an audit trail for incoming mail that you don't have with paper mail. So some of the key features, again, intelligent capture classification. That's the first step for any DX initiative. It should be able to allow you to have flexible workflows to suit business processes. It should allow you to encrypt the mail, so that way it is kept from prying eyes. Encrypt the mail once it's digitized. It should give you an audit trail and other security and compliance features. And again, it should integrate with other business applications. And again, since this is a relatively new area, especially for SMBs, I did want to just show some of the steps here. So an operator, an approved operator in the mailroom will open the paper mail and scan it. The system will automatically recognize the recipient and other information. The newly electronic document is then routed according to the set rules, whether that's, okay, now send it to John Doe via email, or put it in a network folder for the AP department to see, whatever the workflow happens to be that the customer wants. Information can also be at the same time delivered to a back-end system for archiving, and then the archive is there for future searching if it's needed. And then our last section that we wanted to talk about is, how do we get from here to there? There's, I threw a lot of ideas at you, and very often taking that first step is the hardest part. But we've also done research with directors of IT personnel who actually have successfully implemented digital transformation initiatives in their companies. And so we collected from them what were some of the key attributes of those successful initiatives. First and foremost, before you set out, before you sign on to a system, define clear key performance indicators for the project. What is, why are you embarking on this? Is it to reduce cost? Is it for time savings? Is it improve customer satisfaction? Because the answers to those questions will really inform the type of system that you're looking for. You also need to envision the destination. So one of the guys put it well. He said, "Know what success looks like before you start." Because if you don't know what your end goal is and what a successful program looks like, you're just going to be meandering throughout the process and wasting a lot of time and resources. As I said at the top, certainly set up a tiger team group within your organization made up of key users, key users and key stakeholders, not just the IT department. Because again, if the IT department dictates what the system is going to be and going to look like and going to handle, it is setting it up for failure. Avoid project creep. Very often in the process, a new person comes in and hears about it and says, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if the system could also do this?" If you're early enough in the process, that's fine. If you're later in the process, that's just going to derail everything and add to the time and complexity of the project. And then, importantly, pick the right partner. Know the limits of your in-house IT staff, time, and expertise. And look to outsource when you have to. There's no shame in that. We just did a study with directors of IT, and they all plan on outsourcing more of their IT infrastructure and more of their IT projects to outside providers who have the expertise and the bandwidth to handle it. And so really picking the right partner is critical. Also in these interviews with the directors of IT, we asked them, what really made it a success. And the one thing they all mentioned was an experienced and reliable partner. Attributes they saw in a partner: experience with similar projects. So certainly ask your would-be provider if they have done exactly what you're looking to do. The provider understood their unique needs, and there was good ongoing communication throughout the process, ideally with a customer success manager dedicated to your project. And the ability to handle change management with the employees, really understand how does the rollout impact users, and then creating the training and documentation for future users. In that box on the right there, we asked, what was one of the barriers to a successful project, and 35% of the respondents indicated that changing employee habits was a key barrier to them eliminating manual work processes. So the right partner handling the change management aspect of it with your end users and department heads really will lead to success there. And with that, John, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm going to just put something up on the screen here real quick. So we have an offer here for everyone who attended the webinar, a complimentary document assessment for webinar attendees. Take advantage of this assessment. And really what we do is we take a look at, specific, business process workflow that you're doing, and what kind of documents are involved in that, and then figure out, what it would take for you to implement some kind of digital transformation to help solve that business problem. So we're throwing that offer out there to any of you that attended the webinar, and you can, reach out to us, or we'll follow up with a survey after the webinar, and you can let us know if you're interested in that. And Jamie, thank you very much for this great information today. I'm going to stop sharing and open up the forum for any question and answers right now.
Great.
Awesome. So we have had quite a few questions that have been submitted. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. The first one comes from Diane. She would like to know, digital transformation sounds interesting, but I have limited resources and dollars. Is it realistic for my small business?
And John, do you want me to handle that, or does somebody on the Ricoh side want to take that?
Well, I mean, I can certainly provide my input, and Jamie, if you want to add in, that'd be great.
Sure.
One of the things that Jamie talked about was the fact that many digital transformation solutions are cloud-based now, right? So you have the opportunity to really, pay for this service or offering on a monthly basis. Most cloud providers have a subscription. You can subscribe to that over 12, 24, 36 months. So, you can kind of spread out the cost of a subscription for any software tool that allows you to do this, and then also pay for the services, sometimes as part of the monthly fee, but in other times up front. But either way, I think one of the things that we see the most success with our customers who are somewhere between 25 and 500 employees that need to implement some kind of solution to solve a business problem around digital transformation. So I truly believe it is more affordable than ever before.
Right. And John, that actually we just finished up one of our projects, which is a forecast for the document solution software market. And we actually have the trend line going up, not only because people coming out of the pandemic realized, oh, wait, we should have had this before, now we need it. But a lot of it is cloud solutions enabling small and medium-sized companies to come into the fold. Again, it's not a $50,000 upfront cost anymore like it used to be. You just start with a small subscription for a small department for just the key users who need it, and then you can grow and add on from there. And it really brings a whole new audience into the fold because it's just flipping a switch on a subscription.
Great answer. Our next question was submitted by Bob. He would like to know who in my company would be the right person to work on this type of project.
Sure, I'm gonna volunteer for that one first, and then John, you can chime in. As I said on one of my slides near the end, you really need a team. So clearly the IT department, because they're going to be the gatekeepers and be able to tell you what you can and can't do, just technologically, what they can handle, and what you're outsourcing to somebody else. So that's step one. But it really, a lot of it is also the department heads. Knowing what processes are slow and hence costing a lot of, costing their people time and hence costing the company money. The end users, ask them, what parts of your job are tedious and manual and slowing you down and impacting your job satisfaction. And those will really be, the drivers of what needs to get done. And then if you have an in-house IT department and they're familiar with solutions that can do it, great. And if you don't have, an in-house IT department, then there's that's when you look to an outside partner and bring them your issues and say, here's what we're trying to solve. And they'll take it from there.
Jamie, I don't think I could say it any better.
All right.
It's definitely a team approach, right? I mean, it does have to start, I think, in many cases with like a department head or something like that, where whoever has the overall responsibility of wherever that workflow or process exists. But I think the decision is a joint decision, right? Because everybody's going to have a stake. And I would say definitely, I agree with you 100%.
Awesome. And we've got time to answer one more question. This question was submitted by Greg. He'd like to know, from your experience, are there any pitfalls that you should keep in mind when thinking about implementing a digital experience?
And I'm gonna start again, John, not to be too talkative here.
Sure.
But again, from our research and our talks with directors of IT who have done this already, one of the biggest pitfalls was they didn't really anticipate how much pushback they would get from the end employees who have to then, go ahead and use the systems day to day. Again, they really thought they were bringing, some sort of wonderful new system to the end users, perhaps without as much buy-in as there should have been at the beginning. So one of the biggest pitfalls is the system gets rolled out and, individuals and departments end up doing things the old way and not actually using the new system. And again, that speaks to the change management on the part of the partner that you bring in to manage those expectations up front and sort of get buy-in from everybody, and also listening to those end users, because you think just because you're digitizing a process, you're solving their issues. Well, you could be introducing other issues, so all of that needs to get hammered out in the project scoping up front.
Yeah, Jamie, I would agree. I mean, we encourage our customers to ensure that, we're putting together a full kind of work order. I mean, not a work order, but like a project plan around, matching what their expectations are to what we're implementing as part of the solution, and highly encourage ongoing adoption or change management, training to ensure that the end users are really getting the full value out of the solution, understanding it, and really, embracing the change. So 100% agree with you.
All right, so that's going to conclude today's session. John, I'll turn it over to you to close us out, please.
Sure. So again, Jamie, thank you so much for this great session. I think a lot of SMBs and mid-market organizations quite often feel like, they're not in a position to invest in the type of technology that's available that could help them as much as it helps any Fortune 500 business, right? So I think you gave us a lot of great ideas and examples of, organizations of any size being able to implement digital transformation that can really help their business for hybrid work as well as going forward. Appreciate everyone attending today. If there's any questions, please reach out to us. But thank you very much and have a great day.
Bye-bye.